This week, I'm going to let dice decide how much I read each day. Hi friends and readers! For this week's reading vlog, I'm going to roll a dice every single day for about 5 days. And that dice is going to decide how many pages I read. Keep in mind, I do work full-time during Monday through Friday. So this challenge is going to go Thursday, which is today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So 3 of the 5 days will be a day that I work 8 hours that day. We are gonna roll 1 dice. I don't have any physical dice, so I'm gonna roll a dice online, and then that dice is going to be numbered 1 through 6. Whatever number we get, we multiply it by 40. The lowest number in a day I could get would be 1 times 40, so 40 pages, or 6 times 40, making the highest number that I might have to read in a day 240. I wanted to do it like that because I thought that 40 was a great low number and 240 was a good high number, but still accomplishable if I have to do it on a work day. I try to read at least 2 books in the week, so hopefully however many pages we get on our daily count will allow us to finish 2 books. There are 2 in particular that I'd like to read this week. That's pretty much it. We are gonna go ahead and screen record so you all can see me roll the dice and see what number we get today. It is around 12 o'clock. I'm on my lunch break. Go back to work for a little bit more today, so kind of hoping for somewhere in the middle, like the 100s, the lower 100s maybe. I'm gonna go to Google and click dice roll or type in dice roll. I did try this out earlier, and as soon as I type in dice roll, it'll go ahead and populate a number on the dice. That number initially is not going to be what I'm gonna read. We're gonna re-roll it together. So let me screen record my phone. All right, I just typed in dice roll. Okay, and it immediately landed on 1, but we're gonna re-roll it together. Oh man, I wish I did 1. Okay, let's click roll. The number for Thursday is, no, it's 5. Let me do some quick math. We are gonna do 5 times 40, the rules of the game. Today we have to read 200 pages. All right, well, let's get started. Hello. It is now Friday. It is 12:07. I'm gonna use my phone because I took some notes. Yesterday we rolled the virtual dice and we got 200, which is 1 step down from being the max amount of pages we can read in a day, because we rolled 5 and I'm multiplying the dice by 40 pages to see how many pages per day. It is safe to say that on our first day, I was inspired by the dice count and more. I finished at page 245, so we went 45 pages over. I had set my Kindle to not even seeing the pages, so I just kept reading and reading and reading until I felt like I'd hit 200 pages, and this book made it really easy. And last night when I was feeling tired, I was like, all right, let's see how many pages it's been, and I clicked to 245, 72% of the way through this book. I could not believe it. I was thinking, oh, surely the way I feel about where I'm at in this book, there's still 50+ more percent of it. I was wrong. We are reading Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I put Done and Dusted on hold through the e-library app Libby months ago. It had to have been back in September. This is, next to Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, the longest I've had to wait for a book on Libby, and I finally got it 2 weeks ago. And I had to put it on hold and then put my Kindle in airplane mode because I wasn't ready to read it just yet, but I couldn't wait again for months. So sorry if you're the person behind me waiting on it. I'm just about to return it to you. I have only read 1 other book by Lila Sage, and that was her paranormal romance that came out last October, I believe, called Soul Searching. I know most people probably started with the Done and Dusted book and the series that is a part of, and then read Paranormal Romance Soul Searching by Lila Sage, but I was late to the game. I didn't think Western romance, which is what Done and Dusted is, was up my alley, so I never picked up those books. But then a coworker of mine read them all, and she said that they're great, quick Western romance romances to read, so I thought I'd give it a try. I ended up liking Soul Searching. I don't know if that was an unpopular opinion. I don't think I saw raving reviews about Soul Searching, but for paranormal romance and for what I thought I was going to get when I picked it up, I had a great time reading it. So we're giving Lila Sage more tries. Not giving, just reading her books. I see her all over TikTok. I think she has a fun social presence, so why not? This story is a part of an interconnected Western romance series. The series has finished up, I believe. It's a total of 4 books called the Rebel Blue Ranch series. From what I can recall, I feel like maybe people start to like the series a little bit better as it goes on towards the 3rd and 4th book. I don't know though. I've only started reading the first one, so drop down below what your favorite in the series is if you've read it. This is, besides maybe one other book that I shall not mention, my first go at Western romance. Am I a Western girly? No. Do I live in the West? No. Do I partake in country-like things? No. Am I having a good time? Yes. With it being an interconnected series, I do think you could pick the books up out of order, but as all interconnected series go, you may not know a certain character that you would have had context of if you didn't start with book 1, but doesn't mean it doesn't stand alone as its own book. And then we're going to jump into what Done and Dusted is even about. We're getting dual point of view between our 2 main characters. Our first main character is Emmy, also known as Clementine, but primarily goes by Emmy. Emmy is a horse rider, I believe, but had a bad accident and it's been really hard to get back on her horse. She was horse riding out in Denver, Colorado. After having the accident though, she went back home. Home is where she sort of graduated high school and never wanted to be. She was always waiting to get away from home. And now that she's back, she feels a little bit differently, but is still trying to figure out how to get back on a horse without being nervous. What I like about Emmy is that we are getting some representation of ADHD and having panic attacks through her story. So it's always good to read about different types of people and how they cope differently. Oh, my cat. And then our second point of view in this book is Luke Brooks. Luke Brooks goes by Brooks primarily. He's been a friend of the family, which is the Ryder family. Amy Ryder is her name. Emmy has 2 older brothers. I believe they're older brothers. She has 2 brothers, Gus and Wes. And our male main character, Luke, is best friends with her brother, Gus. So it is a best friend of the brother type thing. Luke does have a troubled past and certainly has things that he's worked through as an adult. And really how they connect is that she came back home and he runs the bar that everyone at their hometown goes to. And then he also helps out on her family's ranch. What I'll say, long story short, is I'm really starting to enjoy the family dynamic. I'm less focused on the romance. There has been some pieces that it's like kind of like Neanderthal jealousy type trope, and that's not always my favorite, but once you look past that, the family dynamic is great, and I can already see where these future books are probably going. I think that there are at least 2 books I could guarantee with her brothers. I don't know what maybe book 4 would be about. That's something I'd have to keep reading in the series to find out. And there is a good bit of spice. 70% of the way through, there's been some spicy moments, as a warning. Now I just talked forever. We're gonna roll our dice for Friday to see how many pages we need to read today. It is my lunchtime, like I said, but I have not read any pages so far to today's count. Gonna screen share on my phone again. Okay, we're on Google. This time we're just gonna type in dice roller and whatever the dice rolls to the first time we're gonna use. All right, here we go. Let's see. Today's dice total is 1. Okay, very opposite of yesterday. 1 times 40 is 40. So we only have to read 40 pages for Friday, which I definitely will probably read more than 40 pages. I might even just go ahead and finish Done and Dusted today, but we'll see. Talk to you later. Morning. It is now Saturday morning, so yesterday was Friday. We are coming with an update. I wrote everything down. We were supposed to read 40 pages from the dice roll yesterday, and I read a total of 76. 76 pages finished me out with Done and Dusted, and I wanted to go ahead and finish the book because I was in the mood to. Because we started at page 245 of Done and Dusted and finished on page 321. I'm going to rate Done and Dusted a 3.75 stars. I had an enjoyable time reading it. I think that this series would be great for a book slump. While Western romance doesn't seem to be the exact niche genre for me, romance in general is just, sometimes it's good and fluffy. fluffy. It's nice to read when it's been hard to read or hard to pick up a book. Feels like a good palate cleanser. I do think that in the 2 books now that I've read by Lila Sage, first Soul Searching, it felt like more of a realistic romance story. Now, I know that one has some paranormal in it, and that of course to some people is realistic and to some is not. If you take out that piece and you just looked at the romance of Soul Searching, I felt like, hey, she did a great job of actually showing 2 people that I could find out in the wild. And I thought also the same thing for this story with Emmy and Luke or Brooks. For instance, the epilogue. That is one of the only epilogues you feel like would actually happen in the timeline of their relationship. And then also I did like the play on the title of the book. I learned something new about Western romance. Done and dusted. To be dusted in the Western world of horseback riding, it means something specific, and that also played into what our main character Emmy was going through, so I like that too. It was a quick and easy day yesterday, and that book was a quick and easy book. I will continue to pick up the last 3 in this series. I think they will do great to get people out of a book slump. People meaning me if I do get into one, and I just had an enjoyable time. Now we get to screen record to see how many pages we need to read today, which is Saturday. All right, we are screen recording, typing in Dice Roller on Google search. I think today I'm going to just type it in, see what happens. Let's see how many pages it is. 3. The dice rolled 3, and now I'm gonna do some quick math because 3 times 40 is not computing quickly in my head. All right, 120 pages today. I think that is a fabulous number for a Saturday. I do have a lot of errands to run today, so the max of 240 might have been hard for me, so I'm glad we landed somewhere in the middle. 120 pages, and I do know what book I'm going to pick up, so I'll talk to you later once I've gotten into that book. We've made it to Sunday morning, and I am coming to you with an update on how many pages we read in The Correspondent by Virginia Evans on Saturday. We were supposed to read 120 pages, and we read 131 pages, so we did meet Saturday's goal. So far, we are 3 for 3. We're going to be doing this on Sunday, which is today, and Monday, and then I'm done for the dice rolls this week. This is how far of the way I made it through The Correspondent. This is the first book I've ever read by this author, Virginia Evans. I don't even know if they have other books. I have just seen this book everywhere in the booktube or the bookish world right now. And honestly, everyone that's recommending it is rating it so highly. 4-star, 5-star, really good book for them. So my lovely boyfriend bought it for me on Valentine's Day, and I really just wanted to get it off my physical TBR because I almost never have them on there. Here's Louis. This book is a literary fiction genre, or it's in the literary fiction genre, which I used to think was out of my comfort zone. As I keep reading and reading and reading the last few months, I'm discovering that I really enjoy fiction and I really enjoy historical fiction. I think what I like so much about it is the character-driven plot points, and that's exactly what you get with The Correspondent. This is a story told in nothing but letters. When I say nothing but letters, I mean nothing but letters. Because of this, it's very quick. Chapters, you just fly through them because one chapter might just be 1 paragraph because that's all that person wrote in a letter, or it might be 2 pages. I don't know if I've run across a chapter or a letter in this story that was more than 3 pages so far. So it's so easy to binge, and that's why if today we got 240 pages, I wouldn't really be that upset because I know I could binge through this book. And I think it's also less than 300 pages, so it's not that long of a book. If you're in a slump, I think this is an easy one to pick up. But it's very character driven. It's like you're people watching, but through letters instead of seeing them out in the world. We are following Sybil, and you know, now that I tell you that, I don't know exactly what they tell you in the summary, so let me read that real quick. Okay, yes. We're following Sybil, and Sybil writes letters about everything. She writes letters to her family members, her brothers, her grandchildren, her children. She writes letters to her neighbor. She writes letters to the university down the street that she wants to take classes at. She writes emails to random customer support people. Sybil is always writing, and you can tell that writing is cathartic for her, and it's all she's ever known, to put pen to paper and tell someone what she's doing and wanting to know what they're up to, what they're doing. I will say there were some points where I was getting confused with who was who through the letters, trying to figure out, oh yeah, that's her brother, that's her brother's husband, that's her daughter's husband, that's her best friend's husband, that's her ex-husband. There were lots of confusion points at the beginning, but now as I get towards halfway through this, I'm not as confused learning about the people through all of their letters. And the last thing I'll say is, so far we pretty much learned all these people in her life, but there's one person she keeps getting letters from that are very mysterious, and we have no clue who this person is or how they relate to Sybil. But right now we're just trying to uncover who Sybil is. What did her past life look like now that she's in her 70s and still writing letters? All right, I'm gonna keep it at that, and we are gonna spin. I keep saying spin. We are gonna roll the dice to see how many pages we're reading today, which is Sunday. So I am going to screen record my phone and we are gonna roll again. I honestly don't have a ton on the schedule today. I need to go grocery shopping before work tomorrow and do some cat cleanup stuff, but other than that, I have a good bit of time to set aside to read today. All right, we are screen recording, so let's roll the dice. 3. We got 3. So 3 times 40. Did we already get 3 this week? 120. So we got 3. We got 3 yesterday. I'm gonna play by the rules of the game, and the rules of the game spun/rolled 3. I'm gonna catch up with you later once I've read my 120 pages for today. Hello. It is now Monday morning. It's literally 7:52 and I work from home today and I need to get on by 8 o'clock, so we're gonna make this quick. Yesterday my goal was the number 3 on the dice times 40, which was 120. You may ask me, why did I just multiply by 40 and not 50? I don't know, it just sounded a little bit friendlier to me than 50 did. Here we are. I actually finished yesterday at 121 pages, so just barely made the cutoff. I was reading from page 132 in the correspondent to page 253. So we did make the cutoff, and that means we just have barely a little bit left in our book, and I'm not going to talk to you about it until I finish. This is how much we have left in the correspondent by Virginia Evans. So I think that no matter what I roll today on the dice, I would be able to finish this book and start another book, which is kind of crazy to me. So let's screen and record and see how much we're going to be reading for Monday. I'm really scared of 6 today, being that I have to work and I'm about to finish the second book. I don't know exactly what I would pick up for the third book if it was a ton of pages. Let's see though. Rolling the dice. Ooh, 5 pages. Or 5. I cannot get this right. I've rolled 5 on the dice, which means we have a total of, I believe, 200 pages today. So we'll definitely finish the correspondent and start our next book. Wow, what am I gonna read? Okay, all right, I've got to get to work, but we're gonna work on these 200 pages because 5 times 40 is 200. Once again, I don't know why I selected this rule, but I did. Talk to you later. Oh man, it is now Tuesday. So yesterday was the last day of the dice roll, picking how much I read per day. And I will report that on the final day, I did not pass. I failed the 5th and final day. My goal is to read 200 pages because I rolled a 5 and I've been multiplying by 40, and I did not read 200 pages. Really, it was just the Mondays of all Mondays with work, cooking dinner after work, work, watching Survivor with my boyfriend after work, and trying to read a little bit before I went to bed last night. That's always a bad thing for me because it put me to sleep, which is good. I needed to sleep, but bad because I didn't finish reading all of my pages. Womp womp. But I've still had a really good time reading based off of a challenge like this. While I didn't make yesterday's goal, this whole week I was reaching towards a specific goal, and it kept me reading when I might have just been tempted to put a book down because I wanted to scroll or do something other than reading that was a little bit more mindless. And I appreciate the motivation to read because sometimes you just need it. We are gonna fire off some quick updates that I took notes on. I started on page 253 of The Correspondent. And I finished on page 281. So I finished The Correspondent with 28 pages left. I didn't realize I only had 28 pages when I stopped the day before on Sunday. But hey, glad I left some for yesterday because of the high page count I had yesterday. I've done sort of challenges like this before and I've never gotten through 2 books. I'm guessing I picked 2 shorter books than I realized. After I finished The Correspondent, I picked up another book. I read something else to finish the pages, which I read a total of 111 pages. The book that I picked up is book number 5 in the Windy City series, Rewind It Back, with Rio and Hallie. However, I'm not going to go into that book because I am reading that book for next week's video, which was a great motivation to get a head start on it from this video by chance. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on Rewind It Back and the series finale of the Windy Cities hockey, baseball, basketball romance series, let me know. No, don't let me know. Go watch that video next week. So our total page count by the end of yesterday was 139 between The Correspondent and Rewind It Back. That means we were 61 pages short. So we completed this challenge 4 out of 5 days. Very proud of myself. And now I'm just gonna give you my final thoughts on The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. That on my shelf. Safe to say, I'm glad my boyfriend bought me that book because I'm happy to have it on my bookshelf. It is a 5 stars. The specialty of writing letters, I hear everyone say this when they recommend this book, but you really see it when you read the book. It does, in fact, make you want to go write a letter to someone you love, or just write a letter to someone that you might not love, a friend, acquaintance, a pen pal. This does make me want to pick up a pen and paper and just send over a cute note to someone. I've also never read a story structured quite like this one, where it was literally just letters throughout the whole format of the book, and I absolutely love that. I think it was fresh or refreshing to read like that. It really helped to guide you throughout the book to want to keep reading into each letter that came up after one another. So I think it was the perfect length. There was a bit of sadness in this story, but hey, that's life, and that's the perfect depiction of life in these letters through Sybil. I think there were some hard-hitting quotes about life. That's why it's so character driven. There was one that I wanted to highlight and read to you. I think I've heard this quote before. Oh, Amazon's here. I've heard this quote before, and I've also said this quote before. I think it's something that we've all been considering more recently. It says, "I know you think of me as your mother only, but please remember, inside, I am also just a girl." That is a sentiment that I always try to keep in the back of my mind. It really is just a reminder that, hey, we all are just doing life for the first time ever, and you don't get a redo at life. So have some grace where you can. So while it was a bit sad in some moments, because life can just be sad, I do think there was a lot of comedic relief through quotes and characters that Sybil gets to interact with in her letters, like our customer service support. So no notes, 5 stars. I will definitely do another challenge like this to keep myself motivated to read a certain amount of pages each day. It keeps me off my phone, and that is something I need. That's all. Bye for now.